From the lightning strikes of Blitzkrieg to the desperate defense of Berlin, the Wehrmacht deployed an astonishing array of armored vehicles that changed warfare forever. This comprehensive breakdown covers every major tank, destroyer, and support vehicle that rolled across European battlefields, complete with their combat records, kill ratios, and the stories that made them legendary or infamous. Let's dive deep into the machines that defined mechanized warfare. Panzer I. Panzer I. Minimal, confirmed tank kills, mostly effective against infantry and unarmored targets. Around 320 were lost in combat during the French campaign alone. The Panzer I was never supposed to fight a real war. It was built as a training platform, nothing more. But when Germany launched its lightning offensives across Europe, this tiny two-man machine suddenly became a frontline weapon. Armed with nothing but two 7.92mm machine guns and wrapped in armor barely thick enough to stop rifle rounds, the Panzer I survived through speed, coordination, and pure tactical aggression. In Poland, numbers were its greatest strength. Over 1,500 Panzer is rolled across the border in 1939, helping overwhelm Polish defenses through mobility and surprise. But once they met French and British tanks equipped with actual cannons, the limitations became painfully clear. Losses skyrocketed, and by the time of the French invasion, most Panzer Is were relegated to reconnaissance or training right back to the job they were originally built for. Panzer II. Estimated 500 plus Allied armored vehicle kills across all theaters. However, over 860 were lost by the end of 1941, mostly on the Eastern Front, where they were hopelessly outmatched by Soviet T-34 seconds and KV-1 second. The Panzer II represented Germany's stopgap solution, a temporary measure that became the unexpected backbone of early Blitzkrieg operations. Equipped with a 20mm autocannon and a coaxial machine gun, it could actually fight other light tanks and armored vehicles. The three-man crew and better armor made it a significant upgrade over its predecessor. During the French campaign, Panzer IIs formed nearly 40% of German tank strength. They proved effective in their intended role, destroying numerous French Renault tanks and British light armor. The Panzer II's greatest victory came at Arras in 1940, where multiple units helped repel British counterattacks. Panzer 35T. Approximately 150 to 200 enemy vehicle kills before most were withdrawn from frontline service in 1942. The harsh Russian winter proved devastating to their pneumatic systems, causing significant mechanical failures. After annexing Czechoslovakia, Germany inherited the excellent LTV-35, which they redesignated the Panzer 35. This Skoda-built tank impressed German crews with its high-quality construction, reliable pneumatic transmission, and effective 37mm gun. You could identify it by the distinctive gap behind its bogey wheels. The 35T served with distinction during the invasion of Poland and the early stages of Operation Barbarossa. The 6th Panzer Division, equipped largely with 35TS, achieved remarkable success during the initial Soviet invasion, advancing hundreds of miles in the first weeks. Panzer 38. Estimated 400-plus enemy armored vehicle kills. The 7th and 8th Panzer Divisions, heavily equipped with 38 TES, achieved impressive kill ratios during the French campaign. Production continued until 1942, with over 1,400 built. Considered one of the best light tanks of the early war period, the Czech-designed Panzer 38T was reliable, well-armored for its class, and packed a respectable punch with its 37mm gun. It became the most successful of the Czech tanks in Wehrmacht service. The 38 saw action on all fronts and proved particularly valuable in North Africa and the early Eastern Front campaigns. Its chassis was so well designed that it later became the foundation for the famous Hetzer tank destroyer and numerous other variants. In Panzer II, approximately 2,500 to 3,000 enemy armored vehicle kills across all theaters. Particularly successful in North Africa, where the long-range desert warfare suited its capabilities. The Panzer III remained in production until 1943, with 5,774 built. The Panzer III was designed as Germany's primary tank fighter, featuring a revolutionary three-man turret that allowed the commander to focus on tactics rather than gun operation. This crew layout became the standard for virtually all future tank designs worldwide. Initially armed with a 37mm gun, later models received the more powerful 50mm gun. The Panzer III formed the spearhead of Rommel's Afrika Korps and fought throughout the Eastern Front. At Kursk in 1943, Panzer III units still comprised significant portions of German armored strength, though they were increasingly outmatched. Panzer IV. Estimated 7,000 to 9,000 Allied armored vehicle kills, making it one of the most successful tanks by total kills in history. Over 8,500 were produced, more than any other German tank. Its reliability and continuous improvement made it invaluable to the end. The true workhorse of the Wehrmacht, the Panzer IV holds the distinction of being the only German tank in continuous production throughout the entire war. Originally designed as an infantry support vehicle with a short-barreled 75mm gun, it evolved into a formidable tank destroyer with the long-barreled 75mm KK-40. The Panzer IV fought on every front, from North Africa to Russia, from France to Italy. It served at Stalingrad, Kursk, Normandy, and the Battle of the Bulge. Constantly upgraded with better armor and weaponry, late war models with Schürzen, side skirts, could hold their own against most Allied tanks. Panzer v. Panther. Estimated kill ratio of 5-to-1 against Allied tanks. Individual Panther units achieved extraordinary success, with some crews claiming over 20 kills each. Approximately 6,000 Panthers were produced, and they destroyed an estimated 15,000 to 20,000 Allied armored vehicles. At the Battle of Ericourt, a small number of Panthers inflicted heavy losses on American Sherman battalions. Built in response to the shocking superiority of the Soviet T-34, the Panther combined sloped armor, excellent mobility, and a high-velocity 75mm gun into what many historians consider the best medium tank of World War II. Its frontal armor was nearly impenetrable to most Allied guns at combat ranges. Despite early mechanical teething problems, particularly with transmission and final drive failures, the Panther became Germany's most feared tank once reliability improved. At Kursk, the first Panthers suffered mechanical breakdowns, but by 1944, refined models were devastating. Allied armor in France and Belgium, Panzer VI Tiger I. Average kill ratio of 5 to 6 to 1 against Allied armor. Approximately 1,350 Tiger Is were produced, and they're credited with destroying over 9,000 enemy vehicles. However, they were maintenance nightmares, and more Tigers were abandoned due to mechanical failure or fuel shortage than were destroyed in combat. A legend that struck fear into Allied crews. The Tiger I combined thick, boxy armor with the lethal 88mm gun, originally designed for anti-aircraft use. With armor up to 100mm thick and capable of destroying enemy tanks at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters, the Tiger dominated battlefields where it appeared. Michael Wittmann, history's most famous tank ace, destroyed 138 enemy tanks and 132 anti-tank guns in his Tiger I. At Villers-Bocage in 1944, Wittmann single-handedly destroyed an entire British armored column, knocking out approximately 14 tanks and 15 personnel carriers in just 15 minutes. Panzer VI Tiger de King. Kill ratio estimated at 4 to 5 to 1, though reliable statistics are limited due to their late war introduction. Individual King Tigers sometimes destroyed multiple enemy tanks before being knocked out, often by flanking attacks or simply running out of fuel. They were nearly invincible from the front, but vulnerable from the sides and rear. The King Tiger represented the ultimate expression of German heavy tank philosophy, a massive 70-ton beast combining extremely thick, well-sloped armor with the powerful 88mm KWK-43 gun. Its frontal armor was virtually impenetrable to any Allied tank gun at normal combat ranges. Only 489 King Tigers were produced due to resource shortages and Allied bombing. They achieved remarkable individual successes, but were often too heavy for existing bridges and roads, limiting their strategic mobility. The weight destroyed their own transmissions regularly. Also, Geskets 3. Stug 3 units claimed over 20,000 enemy armored vehicle kills, making it statistically the most successful German armored vehicle by total kills. Its cost effectiveness and reliability made it invaluable, especially as Germany's resources dwindled. The kill ratio averaged 5 to 1. By removing the turret from the Panzer III chassis, Germany created the Stug 3, a low-profile assault gun that became the most produced German armored fighting vehicle of the entire war, with over 10,500 built. Originally designed for infantry support, it evolved into an excellent tank destroyer. The Stug 3 excelled as an ambush predator, using its low silhouette to remain hidden until enemy armor came within killing range. Many of Germany's top tank aces actually served in Stug 3s rather than tanks. Jagdpanzer 38, Hetzer, approximately 2,800 produced. Kill ratio estimated at 3 to 4 to 1. The Hetzer proved particularly effective in defensive operations during the late war, where its low profile allowed it to ambush Soviet and Allied armor effectively. Small, angular, and difficult to spot, the Hetzer was a cost-effective tank destroyer built on the reliable Czech 38T chassis. Its heavily sloped armor and remote-controlled roof-mounted machine gun made it a nasty surprise for advancing Allied troops. Despite cramped crew conditions, it was one of Germany's most successful late-war designs. Jagdpanzer.IV, over 1,500 produced. Credited with approximately 3,000 to 4,000 enemy vehicle kills. Particularly effective during the defensive battles of 1,944 to 45, where it could use terrain to maximize its strengths. This low-profile tank hunter carried the powerful, long-barreled 75mm gun mounted in a well-protected casemate. It was a deadly defensive weapon capable of engaging enemy tanks while remaining hidden behind cover. The sloped frontal armor was difficult to penetrate. Marder 2 and I-2I. Combined production exceeded 1,900 vehicles. Despite crew exposure, Martyrs achieved impressive kill ratios of 4 to 1 or better when properly employed. They destroyed thousands of Soviet tanks during the defensive battles of 1943 to 1944. As German tanks faced increasingly superior Soviet armor, the Martyr series was created by mounting heavy anti-tank guns onto obsolete chassis. The Martyr II used the Panzer II chassis, while the Martyr III utilized the Czech 38T. Both were open-topped stopgap solutions, but they provided desperately needed firepower. Nashorn, approximately 494 produced, credited with over 1,000 enemy vehicle kills. The Nashorn's extraordinary range made it lethal in open terrain like the Russian steppes. Named Rhinoceros, this vehicle was essentially the powerful, long 88mm gun mounted on a light chassis. It possessed minimal armor protection, relying entirely on its ability to destroy enemy tanks from extreme distances of 2,000 meters or more. Jagdpanther, only 415 produced due to late war resource shortages. Estimated kill ratio of 6 to 7 to 1. Despite limited numbers, Jagdpanthers destroyed approximately 2,500 enemy vehicles. Its reputation was legendary among Allied tank crews. Often cited as the best tank destroyer of the war, the Jagdpanther married the excellent Panther chassis with the lethal 88mm gun. It offered a perfect balance of speed, armor, protection, and firepower, with frontal armor nearly as thick as a tiger's.